So I'll call to order this meeting of the Monroe County Stormwater Management Board on August 12th, 2020. And the first order of business is approval of minutes for July 8th.
I'll go ahead and move approval.
Second.
Thank you. Carrie, would you please call the roll?
I have trouble remembering to turn on my mic.
Oh, okay.
Milestone.
Penny Givens,
Yes.
Julie Thomas,
Yes.
and Lee Jones.
Yes.
It's approved.
Okay, and our next.
I'm here too.
Oh, John, sorry.
All right, Tron.
So you need
Tron
to call
right.
here.
Now we have the full board. Okay, the next order of new business is the stormwater expenditure report for July. Terry?
Will you pull that up?
Well, you want to do the minutes first?
Pull that up. The minutes have been approved. Connie, the minutes have been approved.
Okay.
Thank you. As I'm looking through these, up in the 20 series, the one that stands out is pipe. And we actually had, let's see, significant costs there, a couple extra costs where we were doing some work on Van Buren Park. They had a major re-asphalting of the subdivision, and stormwater went in and paid for the storm inlet repair for the project. So there's 7,000 showing up there. And if you'll go down a little bit, Connie, there's 125,000 under on-call contracting. Thank you. That's good. So there's 7,600 there that went to a couple of inlets that we had to put in, additional inlets, I should say, to the 125,000. The 3,000 is just backfill material from our crew. You go on down, you see the Van Buren Inlet Repair Project. That was contracted to Milestone. Hold on, Connie, you're going too far on me.
That's all I have is the one page.
I'm still, scroll back up a bit, please. Right there. I'm looking at professional fees, grant assistance. That's where we're working on the study for the fee increase. And public education, Connie got our calendars in for next year. Rental equipment. Everything else looks like smaller amounts. I'm not going to go over them. Go down to the bottom now, Connie, the summary. That's good. Baby Creek, it's billed 220,000 roughly out of the 337, and it's moved into right-of-way negotiations. We've staked the right-of-way, and the appraiser and the right-of-way purchaser are in the process of going through the right-of-way. Stip Road, there's still no change on that. It's basically sitting them down in the Corps' hands down in Louisville. I keep asking the consultants, if they check in on it and see if there's any way we can complete this, and it looks like it's on their schedule. The last one is the Monroe County Garage. That's the BMP that IDEM requested that we build. It's I'm expecting to do a final walkthrough on that soon. We do have a bill from July that Ginger just told me it won't show up in our books until August. So it's billed out at so far as at 140,000 and 140,500, and the second part of that billing will come in probably this month, and that will close it out. So if there's any questions, that's pretty much what's happened in the last month.
Are there any questions or comments from the board?
I have a comment if Jim Faber.
I haven't gone to public quite yet. Let me just make sure that no one on the board has anything to say.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Anyone have anything? All right, Jim, go ahead.
It's still the same concern that I had at the last meeting. Year-to-date usage is up to 75% of the proceeds. That means that's 75%. That's through September, basically, the money that's been paid out. Do we have enough left for the other 5 months?
The jobs that we have active, we do. I'm getting tight on some of the maintenance stuff, but I think we're fine.
Yep. Mr. Faber, the specific projects that are listed, those dollar amounts are for the project, not necessarily for the year. So the project may finish out sooner or it may finish out in 2021, right?
That I'm not sure. Year-to-date percent used is 75.48%.
I think that's where the confusion is, Mr. Quillman, as to how those numbers work.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've only gone through 7 months, and 75% should have taken us through September, which would be 3/4 of the way through the year.
Yes. I'm not sure I can answer you right off, Jim, but I'll get.
It's not by month. It's not by month of the calendar year. It's by the project total. So if you have a $100,000 project and you complete half of it in September, then it's 50% completed, right? It's the dollar amount for the project. Don't think about it in a calendar year. Think about it as a project.
That's confusing.
Okay.
Maybe
we should not call it year to date. Maybe we should call it project build to date or something instead of year to date.
Let me put together a little memo for Jim and
it doesn't say that though. It just says total build, current billing, previous billing. So it doesn't even have a year on it. You're talking about these at the bottom, right? In the yellow?
At the bottom, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. The yellow, right?
Where it says year to YTD percent used.
Ah, that's okay. That's in the red. Okay.
I don't have a red on my.
I see what you're saying. Okay. I thought you were looking at the yellow with the projects.
No.
It's kind of a pink tone.
Yeah.
Jim?
Yeah, it is on my printout, but it's not on my screen.
Mr. Quigley, is this because some projects are closer to completion, so they've used up more of their money and there won't be as much money required for projects the rest of the year?
Exactly, Lee. Can anybody hear me?
Did you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
No one's hearing me.
I do.
I can hear both Lee and Lisa. So
So can I. I just keep muting myself so that I don't cause a problem.
Lee is correct. It's not each line, but the overall budget is saying 75% used. So those larger amounts like those inlet projects and things like that those huge amounts are being used and deducted through the maintenance lines. But as getting through the rest of the year, everything's on budget of everything, employees and everything that we're required to pay. All of those numbers, we look at those for transfers each month to make sure that we're in line to get through the remainder of the year. And also the 2021 budget, that typically starts around December 10th. So we are only looking at September, October, November, and half of August. So we technically only have 3.5 months left in this budget, which would kind of go with the 75% usage. Does that make sense?
That makes better sense.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Mhm.
Is there any further comment, public comment? I don't think I'm seeing any raised hands. Sure if I've done that right. So anyhow, this comes back to the board. Are there further questions or comments from the board?
I just
Hearing
have-
none. Mr.
Oh,
Coleman, would you-
I have something. It's due to budget.
Yes.
We're going to council for budget pretty soon. Are we planning on submitting a proposed budget? I would assume it would have been this month. I'm kind of surprised that we're not looking at anything, because the budget needs to be approved by the Stormwater Board first.
I need some input there.
Yeah.
If it needed to be on this month, I missed it, Sean.
If we need to convene like a, emergency meeting or something like that, that's fine. But I was just a little caught off guard not seeing that.
No, you're correct, Tron. Absolutely correct. I can tell you the budget is online. Everybody has access to the budget on the shared drive. We can do another meeting to go over the budget. We did not ask for anything extra, nothing for employees. We are following all council guidelines. The two things that I can, the project stayed the same. We did not add any new projects. And again, I'd be happy to have another meeting to go over the budget line by line. The only two things that I want to point out that was in the budget is replacing the MS4 coordinator's vehicle. It's a truck, a little miniature truck that is not very resourceful and dependable anymore. And as you all know, that Terry is retiring in March. So we are asking for more budget money into the line of his position so that we can cross-train somebody with Terry in the 2021 budget. That was the two things that I recall that are different from 2021. But other than that, we followed everything on the council's guide.
Mr. Schilling, I wonder if we have to vote on the budget, if we can continue this meeting and do that, or if we have to advertise the meeting separately since it's a vote, it's an item for vote.
I think that you can vote on the budget at this meeting because you're in session and you can act on any business that comes before you.
Well, I haven't been sent the budget. I'm not prepared. Like I said, I'd rather continue this or convene again so
Right.
I can actually look it over.
Right. My suggestion would be we continue it because then we don't have to advertise. And then we can set a
Right,
date and
and-
time now and the public can know, and then we don't have to advertise it.
Right.
But
And
that's
it
why I
probably
asked the
wouldn't be that-
question, because continuing it won't work if we have to re-advertise because we're voting on the budget.
Do we have to have a particular date set to continue it?
Yes.
Yes. And time.
Okay. Will it work for everyone if we go?
Can I suggest next Wednesday at 3?
That would be fine with me. Lee, you cut out there, so we didn't hear what you said at the end. And you're on mute right now.
Thank you. I lost my connection. I was just asking if next Wednesday would work for everyone.
Sounds perfect to me.
That's the 19th.
Yeah, here.
Let me look
Yes.
a second.
Thank you, Tron, for remembering that. I wasn't here last week and when the agenda, and I should have caught that for Terry.
Yeah, thank you, Cron.
Yeah, no worries. I just want to make sure that
Yeah, thank you.
it goes smoothly.
Yeah, but I can do a week
Yes,
from today at the same
definitely.
time.
Okay, but I do that at the end of the meeting. So now,
Will someone let TSD know? Michelle, will you get it on the schedule?
I'll send out an invitation and make sure they know about it and send notice to everyone so that it's covered there. Did
Right.
we have to vote on this meeting next week?
Right.
you mean vote on whether or not to continue?
To continue till next week. It seems to me there's an action that needs to be done.
It's a consensus.
Okay. I thought maybe that happened at the end of the meeting. But,
It does. I just want, it's a consensus. If everybody agrees, there's only 4 of us, then we don't need a vote.
Okay. And I think we have not yet voted on the stormwater expenditure report. Are there any further questions or comments about that?
We don't vote on that, right?
No.
Oh, no, we don't. Sorry. Sorry about that. Okay. We'll now move to old business, report on the fee rate study. Mr. Coleman?
With the only thing I want to report there is we requested a consultant to do the review and prepare an analysis. They asked me for additional information last week, and I've provided that to them, but I haven't heard anything from them. And given it's just been a week since I gave them that information, I didn't ask them for a time frame. So I guess it's the summary there is it's moving ahead, but I don't have a time frame at this point. Probably ought to talk and see if there is a schedule that I should be on, other than moving it as quickly as I can.
Okay. Thank you. Does the board have any questions or comments about this?
I have a question, and it might not be able to be answered quite yet. This would probably be for Dave. As far as my screen's going in and out, I'm not sure if my audio is though. Do we know about the increase? And I know there was certain things that limited the ability to increase the rate fee. Do we have any feedback on that?
The ability to increase the rate fee that was in the ordinance was just self-imposed. That wasn't required by statute. So the only thing that's required by statute when you have a fee is that it's reasonably related to the services you're providing. And that's why you have the rate study to say, hey, these are the services we want to provide. How much do we have to charge to cover that? So the limitations on increasing it by 3% or whatever it was, that was just a self-created limitation that was done at the time the fee structure was originally adopted.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Was there any action taken as far as amending that policy?
We will need to amend that before we redo the reg.
Okay, so we're still kind of just waiting for the report. Perfect. Thanks, Dave.
Yes.
It may be useful to go over sort of the next steps to Mr. Schilling, if you don't mind.
Yeah, well, I think I have the ordinance prepared to change all the language in the current rate ordinance. And then when we get the study back and decide what you want to do, you can amend that to the rate structure if it changes. So it's not a complicated process. It's just a matter of preparing the ordinance and having it adopted by the commissioners. And there's no notification or anything like that. So it's just something that can be done fairly quickly once you decide what you want to do.
And then it goes to council?
Yes. The council has to.
Right, and then it would be a year away from being implemented, right?
No, it can be collected as soon as you collect it. I think everybody's thinking that the best way to collect it is to collect it with the taxes.
Sure.
But you could start collecting it in January if you had some mechanism for doing it.
Okay, all right, good deal, thank you.
Okay, any further questions, comments? All right, hearing none, our next item of old business is a report on the status of the drainage ordinance review.
And I put this in just so that I could give everybody a feedback on where I am on it. Dave has provided a draft of the ordinance, and I've got comments from Julie, Connie, myself, and I guess that's everyone. I've got comments that need to be addressed in it. Most of them are just small things. Dave has asked me to look at the chapter on karsts, and I'm looking at that and wrestling with that a little bit. I assume I'm gonna have to get back with Dave and get some more input from him. It looks great to me. I think the ordinance looks good. As I've gone through, after I went through it, I started in on the technical standards, and they look pretty good also. There's going to be elements of the karst and sinkhole ordinance, or elements in it also, and I'm trying to just get a grasp on all of those. What I would like to do on that, and Dave, I'd like your input on this regarding the comments on the ordinance. Do you want to make those comments, or do you want us to make them? You want me to provide a way to make those comments? I'm assuming you'd want to do it yourself to monitor it.
I'm not sure I understand what you mean by making the comments. In what context? Just
well, you'd ask me to review it and look for definitions of words that were common, and you asked me to look at sections. I can't remember the section numbers with respect to the karst karst portion of the ordinance. And
Now,
Julie had a few written
we
comments.
do.
I've got.
Once we get the technical standards. Yeah, once we get the technical standards squared away and the karst squared away, the final thing would be to go through the definitions and make sure that all the definitions we need are in there. So I have been working on the Huff case and the tax sale for the last couple months. And so haven't looked at this ordinance at all. I'm looking forward to doing that next week. We're still finalizing some stuff with the sale for a Friday deadline. So, yep, that's. I haven't made any progress since the last meeting, but
Next week or two is fine for me. I've still got several things I want to read in the ordinance or the technical standards, Dave.
okay.
I wasn't trying to push you. I know you're busy with the project. So
one of the things I know we talked about was trying to come up with some sort of educational component for us as we're thinking about this new ordinance. And it's something that we could do after the ordinance is passed and then revise the ordinance, or we could do it before the ordinance is passed. And that is to learn more about karst features and how they work and how they function and what happens in worst case scenarios and best case scenarios and all of that. And I just feel like now is the perfect time to do it. And I don't know if that can be arranged for our meeting, maybe in September, maybe October. I know that Cheryl Munson has some contacts at the Geological Survey, or some retirees from there. And I'm just wondering if we could have a meeting where we're thoroughly educated on karst features and if we could do that in the next couple months.
Julie, I think that as you asked that question, Bob Audio is on the drainage board. He works in the IU Geology Department. And a year or so ago, I had a new sinkhole open up, asked Bob about it, and he just went to one of his colleagues there and had him go out to the site with me. This guy was specialized in sinkholes. So I'll bet if I asked Bob nicely, we could get someone to make a presentation to us for a few minutes at September or October meeting.
That'd be great.
I think they'd be, I don't want to put words in their mouth, but I would think they'd be willing to do that.
Yeah, and and I would ask for more than a few minutes, because what I was going to suggest next is that we invite Plan Commission members to attend or to watch a recorded, recorded presentation of it. Because I know that there's interest on the Plan Commission. Mm-hmm. I imagine there may be some folks in the community who are interested. So we could do it at a different time, like a special meeting, an evening, something like that, where we can just, have questions and get a presentation. And I just think it would be so useful at this point.
I think that's a great idea. I was thinking not so much just a short presentation, but have the fellow make a presentation and then open up for everyone's questions. I think that would be the best.
And I would like to have that person read what we have as a draft for the Karst Conservancy area right now. What's being proposed, just to give us feedback as well at the same time. That would be great. So just a thought, and anything that could be done, I would appreciate it. And I think Margaret Clements was working on this for the Planning Commission, so I can just have her reach out to you, Terry, because she may have already made some contacts, and Cheryl Munson, and just have them work through you instead of being in the middle.
Okay, I'm going to see Margaret tomorrow. So I'll
Great.
talk to her about it.
Thank you. Awesome. Thanks so much.
No problem. That's going to help me also, I think. So that's about all I've got there. I just wanted to get the conversation out on those two items.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. That was a very good suggestion. Any further comments or questions about the drainage ordinance?
Just I'll be looking forward to seeing those technical standards. I don't think we need to be in a rush by any means, especially since the planning department's working with the CDO, the Consolidated Development Ordinance right now. Dave mentioned the other day that we don't want to put anything in the drainage ordinance or stormwater ordinance that's more of a zoning ordinance type of oversight or type of ordinance, I guess. So I just echo that concern that Dave made last month, that as we're rewriting these, that we want to make sure that we don't try to write a zoning ordinance in our drainage ordinance or stormwater ordinance. So I think working with planning is an amazing idea, and it probably could be mutually beneficial for both parties.
I had a good conversation with Jackie with respect to that. And there's a logical breakpoint. If you think the SCAs, they're going to be defined in the drainage ordinance, but planning will jump in and they will say what's allowed to be done or not to be done in those SCAs. So any use of the SCA will go through planning. Any technical details would regarding the sinkhole then would go through the drainage ordinance.
Right. SCA means Sinkhole Conservancy Area, for those who are watching and going, what?
Thank you, Julie.
Yeah, and I see that it just seems to me like we have, and I get that the CDO is kind of trailing behind, but it seems to me that the education component could not come soon enough. And then once we're ready to move forward with our ordinance for the stormwater ordinance, that we should, because we are getting more and more petitions in planning that have sinkholes on them, and I'm feeling less and less comfortable with that process right now, because I feel like we need that informational session sooner rather than later.
I can push that.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate your forbearance.
Thank you. Is there anything else?
Just that I'd like to continue this meeting to August 19th at 3 o'clock.
Second.
Thank you. Can this be a voice vote?
We probably want to do roll call. Sorry to be a stickler. I think somebody told me that.
Yeah, sorry,
It's not difficult to do a roll call.
Yeah, I was mute. Yeah, I was muted. A roll call is required.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Tron
okay.
Enright. Tron Enright.
Roman,
Yes.
I was calling roll or interrupting and calling roll. Tron Enright.
Yes.
Lee Jones.
yes.
Penny Givens.
Yes.
And Julie Thomas.
Yes.
And just, I'd like to say one more thing, just so it's in everybody's head. We have changed the drainage board meeting from Thursday to Wednesday for the rest of the year. I think everybody's clear on it, but I thought
You know about stormwater?
Stormwater, would they say
This board.
drainage?
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about
yes,
that.
That's okay. I want to make sure.
Yeah, stormwater board meeting.
I think Mr. Faber was wondering what was happening.
I'm sure. That's all.
I believe this meeting is finished and continued.
Thank you.